Here it is. Third. Number three. Number three in the seventh star. 7-point star. Alvin star. Which refers to the scope of Aquarius 4 degrees. Which Pluto is currently at its expression between 3 and 4 degrees. So we're considering 4 degrees Aquarius. Understand the scope of Aquarius. Second point of evolution or means of expansion is Cancer 8 degrees. You could check that out. Scroll up the list. We're going in order. This is the third of 7. So look forward to 7 of these points being explained. Discourse on 7 points. This is the third of 7 points. Understand? We last talked about the means of expansion, Cancer 8 degrees, finding a guide. So after we have made the conscious effort to align ourselves with the guide, there then is the preferred path. The preferred path. Understand? Say it with me. The preferred path. With the Sagittarius 12 degrees. This expression, Sabian symbol, is announcing our willingness to evolve. Announcing our willingness to evolve. Now, when it comes to an announcement, first of all, making an announcement, you have to project your voice. And there are other ways to announce things through your expressions. Having intention behind making something known. Right? Let's say I was running the streets, shooting and running from the cops in my adolescent years. And let's say eventually I go up to Clinton or Elmira doing time and I run into Muslims there and I submit my will to Allah and Islam, okay? I find a spiritual path or discipline for myself so that I could evolve a character, evolve a soul, evolve my understanding through camaraderie, brotherhood, influence of others, studying spiritual knowledge or religious knowledge, training my soul to align with a higher value. A higher understanding of myself from the perspective of spiritual wisdom, insight, discipline, right? So how do you make that announcement? You make that announcement through your expressions. You start wearing the kufi. You start carrying yourself a certain way. You make it clear through your boundaries that you abstain from certain things that are haram or not good. Okay, I'm not saying this specifically for Muslims, okay? I'm just using an example. I don't care if you're a yogi, okay? A Christian, a Muslim, no religion at all. I don't care, okay? As long as you choose some discipline for yourself to train your soul, okay? It's all good because guess what? It's all one. At the end of the day, it's all one, okay? That's the point. It don't matter what race or religion you are. It doesn't matter what ethnicity or country you're from. None of that matters. Understand, okay? We in this together. What I'm saying is, when you make up your mind to evolve, it becomes evident. And you form your intention to deliberately make sure you deliberately express it. You go out of your way to express it, okay? You see a woman who chooses to change her life the same way, like I was, just describing a Muslim who went from the streets and he goes to prison. He becomes a devout Muslim or a devout Christian. Okay, there are certain ways that he announces his willingness to evolve. He announces that change that took place. All right. So not only is he vocalizing it and making it known, but his expressions, the communication of his expressions, the communication of his decisions, the communication of his association, his appearance, the way he dresses, his demeanor, everything. It announces that he chose to evolve, okay? It's an announcement. A woman the same way. Okay? She starts to value herself. She starts to cover. She starts to show humility. She starts to show modesty, chastity, all of these different things. And she's announcing her commitment to that evolution, her willingness to evolve. She's announcing it. Okay? Now, how else do we announce our willingness to evolve? We announce it through humility, a spirit of humility. Because when we are willing, we submit our will to that process. We submit our will to the authority of a teacher. We submit our will to a guide, a demonstrator, or a master. We show submission. Submission is the evidence and proof that you have a will to evolve. Showing humility. Because when we get with a teacher, when we get with an enlightener, a person who's going to demonstrate as a master how to personify the characteristics that allows you to live out that reality, you have to show up in a spirit of humility that shows and proves your willingness to evolve and learn. Because evolution means it's going to take time. It's going to be a process. And if something's going to take time, it's going to be a process. It has to go through Saturn. Okay? It has to go through Saturn. You're taking Jupiter and you're going through Saturn. Jupiter representing ninth house, your understanding. Ninth house, higher learning, wisdom, higher knowledge, competence, spiritual wisdom, experience, the student-teacher relationship. Okay? Now, it's significant that this comes after Cancer 8 degrees, which is what? Finding a guide. Okay? You don't put one in front of, you don't put Cancer 8 degrees after Sagittarius 12. Right? Sagittarius 12 comes after Cancer 8 degrees. So after you have found a guide, you have to announce your willingness to evolve. You have to announce it. How do you announce it? Get out of your own way. Do not let your ego trick you out of your opportunity. Your ego, your slick mouth, your lack of self-restraint. You have somebody who's qualified to teach you, to show you, to help you evolve, but you want to talk too much. While that teacher is talking, you talking. Your ego is inflated. You got low self-esteem. And you're so full of impulse to express yourself. This is not a time to express yourself. It's a time to absorb, to receive, to learn, to show humility, to shut the fuck up. Yeah, that way. It's time to listen. Be the student. Not so eager to show what you think you know. Announcing our willingness. What did Christ say? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. It's a weakness of the flesh that we have the impulse to interject while the teacher's talking. That we feel like we have to have so much feedback to give when somebody's demonstrating and teaching you, when somebody's giving you lessons. We have lost this trait in America. We've lost it. Here in America, we have lost that ability to sit before a guru, a teacher, somebody who knows it better than you, a master. And we don't know how to follow. We like to go to YouTube and listen to as many videos as we can. Read a little bit to get the idea and then run with it. Regurgitating, reciting, but not understanding. Second book of Timothy, 3rd verse. And they indulge in knowledge, but never arriving at an understanding. And they indulge in knowledge, but never arriving at the understanding. That's what this is. We're saving ourselves from that crisis, from that predicament of being know-it-alls. YouTube and know-it-alls. You go to these, I'm not going to be unfair, name no names, but there's people out there who got costumes on, who got fancy hats, dashikis, fancy names and all kind of things. And they talk. Luciferic knowledge. They're entertainers. And the audience is vast. It's vast. Full of people who are entertaining themselves with distractions, with empty calories. That does not nourish the heart, the mind, or the soul, but it distracts. It feeds the ego. You get full of all of this knowledge. You get full of all of this information. And you deceive yourself into thinking that maybe you have wisdom or understanding, but oh no, that's a whole different ball game. Here's the thing. Years ago, I'm 41 now, but when I was 18, I looked out the window one day and I said to my wife at that time, as I looked at my neighbor who was working on his car, I said to my wife at that time, I said, you know, I really envy that guy. I wish I knew how to fix cars or work on cars. You know, it was just in me. I was interested in it. It's what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know. So at the time, I was a department manager at Walmart. Okay. And I decided, how can I align myself to learn how to do that? Right? Okay. So Walmart has a tire lube express. So I went to my manager and I said, hey, listen, I don't mind if I take a pay cut or whatever else, but I really need to move the tire lube express. I want to learn some things. I really think that it's important for me to do it. Something in me tells me that, you know, this is what I should do. So please, you know, I think I would do better over there. So she didn't mind. I went over to TLE, Tire Lube Express. So at least I got my foot in the door to where I knew I could find a teacher. I could find somebody who knew more than me. One thing I'm good at is being a student. I'm very good at being a student. Been a student all my life and still understand. So I looked around, who's the best? While I'm there, okay, who's the best? So I found out who's the best and I followed him around. I watched everything that he did. I copied it. I imitated it. Even if I didn't understand it, I copied it. And eventually I learned how to change oil. I learned how to change tires. My confidence increased. I questioned the hell out of everybody that was there. I questioned them, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, how about this? Well, how about that? Okay. What does it say in the Bible? Wisdom is the principal thing. Okay. That comes from experience. But with all thy getting, get understanding. That comes with asking the question, why? That comes with having the humility to ask the question, why? Asking the question, why, begins with acknowledging that you don't know something and that somebody else does. That shows humility. To ask the question, why? That is Gemini. That is Gemini. You do yourself a favor when you get yourself out the way. So eventually I learned how to change oil. Even when a car came in the bay, I'm looking at the car from the bottom. Just the sound of the car, I know what kind of car it is. Just to look at the car from underneath, I know what kind of car it is. I know what a filter is. I know how the engine is positioned, forward facing or side facing. I just know cars now, okay, from that perspective. So my hunger was still there. I want to know how to fix these things. So what did I do? Right hand up to Allah. This is what I did. I went and I set an intention to find someone to teach me how to fix cars, how to repair cars. All right. So I went to a car shop. All right. I'm a brother. Okay. So I wanted somebody who, I could probably relate to, speak the same language. So I was looking for a brother. You know what I mean? So I ran up, I noticed a brother was running the shop. So I went up to him. I'm like, hey, listen, I greeted him, of course, he's an elder. And I told him, hey, I really want to understand how to fix cars. I know how to change oil. I know how to change tires. Listen, you don't even have to pay me. Okay, this is my young mind. I said, you didn't even have to pay me. I swear to God, this is what I said. Okay, I said, you don't even have to pay me. I just want to learn how to do things like change your alternator, change the timing belt, fix a radiator, change brakes. I want to know how to do that. So if you could teach me, I can help you. And, I just want to learn. The value that I'm getting is to learn. Okay, so he actually stood there with his mouth hanging open. He took his glasses off. I was young and healthy and strong, and I mean, he was looking at this like, of course, So he was delighted, okay, to bring me on board to do that. And he said, listen, there's no way I can let you work without paying you. I'm going to pay you, and I'm going to pay you fairly. So, what your schedule look like at Walmart. Eventually, I quit Walmart and I start working at the car shop. All right. He teaches me everything. Never did I raise my ego to this man because he's the master. Understand? He's the master. I don't know how to change brakes. I didn't know how to fix, change a radiator or a starter out. I don't know how to, troubleshoot for what's wrong with the car. None of that. So I stayed with him for 3 years, watching everything that he do, constantly asking questions. And I showed humility. When he was talking, I would not talk. Because there's no way I could understand what he's saying if I'm talking at the same fucking time. Shut the fuck up. Some people need to learn how to shut up when you're talking to a master. But first, we got so much ego here in America, we don't want to acknowledge that somebody is a master. Yeah. How about that part? We refuse to acknowledge that a person is a master at what they do. That's how much our ego gets in the way. And we're doing ourselves a disservice. So anyway, without that rant, I learned everything I could learn from him. And I got a blessing in the middle of that. A guy gets out of prison. And I don't know why I always relate, to people who go in and out of prison. I have no idea what attracts me to that situation. But his name was Dippy. Good old country boy, right? He was from North Carolina. And his father used to build race cars. And me and Dippy, we had our toolboxes right next to each other. All right? Our toolboxes right next to each other. And by the way, this is what I was doing before I became a craftsman in the union. Okay? But anyway, Dippy would always show me shortcuts. He would show me other ways of how to do things. So pay attention to this from an astrological point of view. I was learning from the Mars master. And once I learned from the Mars master, which was the shop manager, okay, the guy who took me under his wing, what comes after Mars? What comes after learning from Mars? Come on, I know you can answer this question, right? Uranus, Shango, okay? There you go. Why? Because Uranus is to Mars what zinc is to iron. It's the innovator. It's what carries you forward beyond the point of mastery. Once you have completed something, you have to innovate. Once you have come to the end of line of what you learn, you now have to innovate or advance. So Dippy manifested to me, which was a sign that I now understand cars. I know the concept. I know how to troubleshoot. I know how to listen for what's wrong. I know how to fix anything on a car. Okay? So now Dippy comes along to show me an advanced understanding of fixing cars. You see, he was a street hustler. Okay, what he would do, okay, remember his father was a race car builder. Okay, so he learned how to do things very fast and efficient. He learned how to do shortcuts without compromising value or integrity of what he's doing. Okay, that's Shango, that's Aquarius, that's innovation right there. It advances Mars. Okay, so I learned from the Mars master. Now it's time to learn from the Uranus master. You see how that works? Okay, so Dippy had a house with, a little parking lot. And after work, well, one day he asked me, to come to his house after work. I went to his house after work. And I noticed he had mad cars out there, right? And he had a little parking lot where he would bring cars in and out all night, fixing cars all night. And he asked me, hey, if you help me out, we could break it down the middle. I just want to get caught up on, different things, and you can learn some stuff. So I hung out with him and I learned advanced techniques on cars. I learned how to do things faster than what the first master taught me, more efficient. I learned little tricks of the trade, okay, that Dippy, the street dude, could only teach me. Understand? Okay? Now, beyond that, it advanced even more. Dippy said, hey, listen, let's make some more money. I got an idea. He said, every now and then I'll go out to AutoZone. I'll stand in front of AutoZone and I'll offer to put parts on for people who come in and out. Me and Dippy did that for about 4 hours a night after work. Okay, we do that on a regular. If we wasn't at his house fixing cars, we would be in front of AutoZone offering to fix, cars for money or to repair, put the parts on for people who come out of AutoZone for money. That's how I got the wisdom. That's how I got the mastery of fixing cars. Okay, fast forward, I end up doing that myself, where I started fixing cars for money on my own. Okay, before I became a craftsman. So, along with that, let me make sure I'm bringing all the points together. Along with that, okay, what point am I? Here we go. Okay, so the point that I'm making is that what comes after finding a teacher, a guru, a mentor, a guide, a master, is choosing the preferred path. The preferred path is it's an internal thing. Okay? Sagittarius 12 degrees, announcing our willingness to evolve. I announce my willingness to evolve every time I show humility instead of pride. Okay? Every time I listen instead of interrupting. Every time I ask questions instead of assuming that I know everything. I announce my willingness by acknowledging that I don't know what the master knows. The master is the father of mysteries. Understand, for that which you are seeking to understand and master. So, it's not only technical, it's spiritual what you're going through when you submit yourself to a master or a teacher. I show submission to the master or teacher. That's submission. Not getting yourself in the way. You should always be in front of people who know more than you. What are you doing with your life if you're not in front of people or dealing with people who know more than you? Understand? So, here's the thing. Here's the thing I want us to focus in on. Let's check our arrogance. Let's check our pride. No. Don't just speed past this, okay? Let's acknowledge that our ego gets triggered when it's time to follow a master. Let's acknowledge that. Don't speed past that point. Let's dwell. Let's look at that. What happens every time you get in front of a master? Every time you know you need to follow a master to learn. Now, I'm gonna flip the script. What's at the south node? Okay, Virgo. So in this context of student-teacher relationship, the 9 deals with the heart counseling the self. The heart being the oracle of self, okay? But this is different. In this context, it goes to the 22. Why? 22 is a master. It's a master. It's a master number. 22. The master number 22 goes back to Virgo. It's the Virgo-Pisces axis. Master number 22. Now, what comes along with following the master? Normally, when you have to follow a master, you have to pay the price of following that master, of being a disciple to that master. What does that look like? A little bit of humiliation, exercising of the ego, surrendering to ego deaths over and over again. Because some masters that you need to learn from might be a little arrogant. They might be impatient. They might be irritable, easily frustrated. They might not be good at communication. They might not be good at managing their emotions. But what do? You just throw up your hands and walk away, start crying. You pick up your ball and you cry and you go home because, oh, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. I would have never learned anything in my life if I got up and left every time somebody made me feel small, somebody humiliated me, somebody embarrassed me, as I know I needed to learn from them. Why? Because I valued the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the experience, the mastery that I would absorb from them if I could show humility and patience. Because as they teach me, I know I'm able to teach them through my higher spiritual faculties that I will draw up on to meet their ignorance with, to meet their weakness with, to meet their imperfections with, because it is worth it to endure it. This is the same as having a relationship with Saturn, having a relationship with Pluto. It's like Saturn-Pluto conjunct. And you're walking with Saturn-Pluto conjunct, and it's going to bring you through some things. You're going to go through some hard times and drama with that master. But you want to bitch up and run off, take your ball and go home? Anyone who became something great, any icon, they suffered this humiliation and having to go deeply within to survive the hits to the ego. The hits to the ego. You're going to take some massive blows to your ego if you're going to walk with a master. Masters have the ability to make you feel like pure shit because as you follow them, it exposes your ignorance. It exposes your weakness. It exposes how little you know, how little control you have, and how helpless we can be. But oh no, you can't acknowledge that because you prefer to walk the earth thinking that you're something that you're not. This is our problem, and this is why we never get to true wisdom. This is why America is the way that it is also. We're not conditioned to be mature. We're very immature in this country. The things that I learned, I've had so many teachers through so many disciplines, and all of my teachers were not easy to deal with. Not knowing something, speaking out of turn, giving wrong information, making them feel like they're wasting your time as you're walking behind them. They can make you feel like you're smaller than a blade of grass, like you ain't shit, like you're fucking dumb, like you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, that was my whole life. Because my whole life, I have walked with masters. I have walked with teachers. I've walked with people who taught me, who demonstrated to me, who showed me the right ways with things from a spiritual perspective as well. I know how to do a lot of things. And the masters that I had to learn it from, it was a sacrifice every time. As a union carpenter, I travel all over America. Construction sites, nuclear power plants, commercial, maritime or Navy ships, all over. East Coast, Midwest. I've done it for 17 years. And let me tell you, I ran into many masters in my craft, which shows me I'm not the best at what I do. I'm really good at what I do. I am certainly a master at what I do, but I'm not delusional to think that I'm the best at what I do, because I know I'm not. There are many people who I still can learn from. And when I realize and acknowledge that somebody is a master compared to me, I will humble myself and stand behind that person so that I can learn, because I know life is a journey. And I know what real value is. I know how to absorb true value into myself. I won't let my ego steal the opportunity of me absorbing true value. I will take the hits of humiliation and insult. It's worth it. I've been insulted many times. I've been humiliated many times, but I'm strong enough to absorb it and allow myself to transform so that I can grow and develop. Understand, walking with a master is not easy. And this is why announcing our willingness to evolve, it has to do with that ego. It has to do with the willpower and the staying power, the perseverance, the patience, the humility to stay with the master. Otherwise, you'll give up and walk off. Look how many divorces we have in America. The husbands are the masters of the wives. And when the husbands aren't there with the wives, you see how they do. You see how they live. You see what type of decisions they make. You see the fate of women when they don't have husbands. Look at America if you are confused about that. Look at America. And if you need to hone the microscope in sharper, look at Black America, because that's where it's worse. Where women walk around with no authority figures, no husband, no man in sight. The smoke detector, I call to witness the smoke detector, the smoke alarm. It chirps all day at every Black woman's home. Which signifies is that a man is never there. And when they do have a male there, he's not man enough to even change the battery in the smoke detector. Let that sink in. They don't have men. They're scared of men. They run away from men. They avoid men until they get very old. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I call all Americans to witness, to testify that that's a fact. Because I know America if I don't know any other place. They can't come up with the humility and the discipline, the staying power to grow through a master. So they divorce their husbands, and what's the rate? 70% of divorces are initiated by women. 90% of the 70% are egotistical, ego-filled, brainwashed, liberal college ladies. Ladies who went to college, graduated to college, or attend college. 90% of them. It's no coincidence. Feminism. It brings corruption upon the ego. She's so full of her ideals, full of gas, full of delusion. American women are unteachable. The only person who can teach them is somebody gay or a college professor. That's it. Nobody else can teach them. They know every damn thing. We're not going anywhere until we get our ego right. It takes discipline to walk with a master. Announcing our willingness to evolve, you're basically announcing and proclaiming your will to put on discipline. You're surrendering to discipline. You're making it clear that you're choosing discipline as the preferred pathway. Discipline. We lack discipline in this country. Our children lack discipline. The women lack discipline. And the men lack discipline because they were raised by the single mothers as a result of feminism and liberalism. They lack discipline now too. Discipline is missing. And without the discipline, there is no exchange from the master to the student. It cannot take place. It's impossible because you have to endure the challenges to the emotions and to the ego of being a student. It will make you feel small. It will make you feel stupid at times. It will make you question yourself, doubt yourself. It will make you frustrated at the teacher as you don't understand what they're doing. But do you have the patience to hear them out, to see it to the end? Yo, y'all remember Karate Kid? Right? The master was telling him, wax on, wax off, Daniel-san. Wax on, wax off, Daniel-san. Right? He couldn't understand why he told him to do that. But the master doesn't owe you understanding. You owe the master discipline and obedience. Because you're supposed to be watching. You're supposed to be listening. You're supposed to be receptive. You're supposed to be in a state of humility so that you can receive and understand and retain. But having to have an explanation is the same as having to have control. Let me say that again. Having to have an explanation is the same as having to have control. Y'all gonna let that fly right over your head. If you think about that statement for the next 6 years, it'll change your life. I'm going to say it again. If you think about that statement for the next 6 years, it will change your life. Y'all don't have the patience to hear me out on that. Anyway, Karate Kid. So the situation comes up, Karate Kid gets in a fight, right? And Mr. Miyagi is sitting there and he's looking at Mr. Miyagi like he gonna jump into something. But Mr. Miyagi is like, yo, wax on, wax off, Daniel-san. And so the kid is like, wax on, wax off. Nigga, they about to get in my ass. What you talking about? Wax on, wax off. This ain't no call. You know what I'm saying? But it occurred to him, oh, he was teaching me. He was trying to, he did show me. He did help me already. He already invested in me. He already solved my problem. And see, this is how men work too. This is how husbands work. This is how fathers work. But American women don't have patience for the husbands and they don't have patience for the fathers. They think they have to understand at the moment. They think they have to know at the hour. They think they have to know and understand because they assume they have to have control. And that's the problem. Men do not operate like that. When we ask you to do something, it's for a reason. When we say something, it's for a reason. And it's part of a strategy and why we're doing so. With men, we give you something. We gift you something. We invest in you. But you don't get to see it unless and until you have understanding. You will never know the gifts of a man until you have understanding. You will never know the blessings that a man has for you until you have wisdom. You will never know the value that a man has already invested in you years and years and years back, weeks back, months back, hours back, until you sit the fuck down, get your ego out the way and reflect. And then it occurs to you, oh, he did. Oh, he was. Oh, he... This is how men work. But women are too... They're all over the fucking place. Can't sit down and reflect and absorb and see. You're missing the value. Too greedy for control. I want an explanation. I want an explanation right now. No. Not if you're walking with a master. Now, does this always apply to a person? No. It's the same with your relationship with you and God. God teaches you the same way. God teaches you things that he doesn't explain, because it's your job to search yourself internally to arrive at the understanding. If you would humble yourself, you would see that God is 10 steps ahead of you. Everything that you think you're complaining about, Heavenly Father, you didn't do this. God, you didn't do that. Allah, you didn't do this. Spirit, you didn't do that. Olodumare, you didn't do that. What about this? What about that? Oh, there is no God. Oh, there is no God. Because it wasn't done the way that you thought it should be done. Because it didn't arrive the way that you conceived. Because it wasn't as you held an ideal of. It wasn't your concept of strategy. Well, they wouldn't be the master if they have to do it the way that you understand it to be. So how can their mind operate on the wise of your mind, and they're the ones who's the master? If they're coming up with the same ideas that you already prophesy, you walking behind the wrong person. If you could predict their thoughts, predict their ways, and predict their actions, if you have predictability over the person, that's not a master. You need to find somebody else who's a master. Understand? That's part of the problem. The Most High does the same thing with us. The thing that you're crying and complaining about, God already solved it. He 10 steps ahead of you. If you sit down and reflect, if you show gratitude, you will start to realize that there's a higher wisdom that's always active ahead of you. It's already 10 steps ahead of you. It's already laid out. It's already done. That's exactly how men move. That's how men do it. That's how a man operates. Men solve problems. That's what men do. We solve problems. And we don't solve it the way that you conceive and think of. How many fathers try to show up for their kids while they're still wet clay? Okay? Childhood, infancy, adolescence, before they hit adolescence, okay? If the child gets to 11, 12, 13, it's almost too late to do so without great effort, without considerable effort, okay? So often, and this is from my life experience, what I have seen all my life, okay? Fathers will try to exercise discipline, order, structure, guidance, leadership, intelligence, strategic approach with the rearing and development of children, practicing prevention so that he could avoid having to practice treatment. The father would do so with the sons, and they would do so with the daughters. But at the time, see, women aren't good at foresight. Okay, foresight is natural for a man. So there's certain things that men out of foresight will say, hey, don't do this. Don't let them do that. Let's make sure that they're doing this. Please, if we're going to do that, we have to do it this way. Okay, they're making sure that the destiny of the child, that it's aligned to the right degree so that when they get to a certain trajectory or age, they don't have to deal with certain issues. But women don't understand that. At the time when children are very young, women like to take ownership and domination over the children. They say, my baby, my daughter, my son, as if it's not his child too. They dominate the child. They treat the child like a piece of property, something that they have total ownership over, and he has no rights. He has no say so. He has to wait his turn, and the child becomes a tool for manipulation. If you don't do this and you don't do that, we ain't trying to hear you. You broke, you dusty, you whatever else. but his wisdom is active over that child's life, and you are giving him a hard time. You're preventing him. You're taking him through all these riddles and obstacles. You're confusing the situation. And then when a child turns out to be a knucklehead, a thug, a gangster, a stick-up kid, a drug addict, a lowlife, a loser, a creep, gay. When a daughter turns out to be a streetwalker, a hoe, pregnant at 15, loose all in the street, gay. Now you want to call the father because the son is running the streets, running from the police. Now you want to call the father because the son got size 15 shoes on and he telling you what he gonna do. You ain't telling him what he gonna do in your house. Now you want to call the father because he's putting hands on his sister and he putting hands on his mother. Now you want to call the father because he's too big for the mother to discipline anymore. But when he's cute, you want to rule and control the child and take possession of the child and deny the father access to bring influence over the child and developmental wisdom through his foresight. But see, the problem is that clay is easier to mold when it's wet. But when they hit adolescence and teenage years, that clay is dry. It's already formed in the shape that the mother has put it in. And it's very little that the father can do. So now Saturn has to compensate, has to supplement the child with calcium, has to supplement the child with K2. Look these things up. Don't just listen to me picking your nose and licking the fucking windows. Look up the shit that I'm saying. What's K2? Thank you. Write it down, look it up, and learn. I'm giving you real value. Don't disrespect me, man, by listening to this and not applying, not being here to really learn and evolve. Please, don't fucking insult me, man. Don't do it. We in this together. Help me help you. I'm doing my part. I don't know what you're doing. So anyway, Saturn then has to supplement for that child. And how does Saturn supplement for what the father was not able to invest in the child? You go to jail. You go to jail. And as for the daughter, she get knocked up. And that ring of Saturn shows up as a bid in jail or prison. It shows up as early childhood pregnancy and places restriction around the being. Now you're force-fed discipline, order, structure. Now you're force-fed obedience. Now you're force-fed compliance. Now you're force-fed respect for authority because the father wasn't there. And then you want to say, oh, the daddy wasn't no good. If the daddy was there, if the father was there. But bitch, look how hard you made it for the father to be there. Look at all the obstacles and fucking circus loopholes you put him through so he couldn't have access to the child. He called for the child, you playing all these drama games. He shows up as drama games. The story has been told as a lie here in America since the time I've been breathing air in this earth. It's been a lie. Women have been lying on fathers, on men. Lying. Telling a lie. And it's a crisis because our children and our women in America are not growing up with the essential relationship of student-teacher. Instead, they go to the internet and they find someone who looks attractive, who looks charismatic, and say, oh, that's a teacher. Why? Because you lust for that person, not because you actually want to learn from the person. Why the fuck you think I don't turn the camera on my face, nigga? Don't look at me. Look at the fucking lesson. Learn the lesson. I'm not over here to serve sex. Fuck I look like. Fuck I look like. People are out here looking for something, eye candy. People are looking for eye candy, not wisdom. They're looking for charm, not wisdom. They're looking for jokes, not wisdom. They're looking for entertainers, not wisdom. They don't want to deal with wisdom. Because wisdom means work and change. And who wants to work and change? This is what we missing. And this is what we got to have in the great old USA. Understand? Fathers, discipline, order, structure, the masters, it has to return. All of this has to return. The relationship of master and student. And knowing first that God is master over your life. And as the master, God doesn't always owe you understanding. You arrive at understanding. You owe God discipline and obedience. Understand? Fuck your understanding. Where's your obedience? As long as you have obedience, you're going to arrive at the understanding. And you're going to look behind you and see everything you ever cried for was already covered. Understand? Announcing our willingness to evolve. Are you willing to evolve? What does evolving look like? Yeah, it's a humiliating and painful process. It is something to endure. It is not easy. It's not fun most of the time. It's transformational. Can we accept this? You have never seen an icon, 10th house, Capricorn, without going through Saturn. Only Saturn can produce an icon. Only a master can produce an icon. That's a 22 energy at the South Node. Masters, those who have mastered. And when you deal with a person who has a life path 22, they're very hard to be around. They're condescending, they're arrogant, usually left-handed, make you feel like you're stupid, ask you questions sarcastically to make you feel like you screwed your head on wrong, like you shouldn't even exist, like it's sad that you was even born. Like a 22 will make you feel like that. But in most cases, it's worth it to be around the 22 to get the exchange of the value of having learned from their mastery. You could always set boundaries. You could always communicate healthy boundaries. Don't cry over spilled milk, shit that you can change and fix. Father God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. The wisdom to change the things that we can. The courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Let me say that again, because I believe in prayer. Father God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. Grant us the courage to change the things that we can. Grant us the wisdom to know the difference. Understand? Let me pray that again. I want to pray that for you. Father God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. Grant us the courage to change the things that we can. Grant us the wisdom to know the difference. Okay? That's where that go. So, Sagittarius 12, announcing the new era. Announcing the new era. A flag that turns into an eagle and crows. A flag that turns into an eagle and crows. Understand, that's through imitation. Okay, listen. Now, announcing the new era. This is a new era. Okay? Announcing the new era. What we've been doing, what we was on before, now we got to leave that behind. It's time to change, homeboy. It's time to flip the script. It's time to flip the script. We ain't doing what we've been doing. We ain't on that. We ain't on that. Humanity is on the verge of huge transformation. Okay? And those who can feel this have a duty to announce it. Those who can feel this have a duty to announce it. Listen, man, what am I doing right now? I can feel it. And I'm announcing it. I got veins popping out of my neck announcing it. You think I'm supposed to be the only one announcing it? No, you supposed to be announcing it too. Why y'all so quiet? Come on, speak up. Get animated. Get active. You know what I mean? Exchange down in the comment section. Get alive. It's your world. Why your world look dead? Fuck is y'all niggas doing? Come on. Get excited for this. Nobody's going to come and do it for you. We are the ones who's going to do it. I wake up every day set on fire for this. But you know what? I can't seem to set enough of y'all on fire. You don't care. A lot of you. Most of you. What, 104 subscribers? And they go right in the back. They put some shades on, pull down their hat, and they hide in the shadow. Fuck is that? Fuck you even come in here for? Why the fuck did you even subscribe? No, real talk. Why did you subscribe if you just gonna come in here and sit your ass in the back and hide the fuck out? I don't need you. Unsubscribe. Get the fuck out of here. If you're not gonna come here and help, get the fuck out. That's how I feel about it. I don't care if it's 4 niggas in here. That's it. Get the fuck out if you're not helping. And you help by participating, spreading the energy, spread the spirit around, spread the message. Make it move, make it live. Fuck you mean? Niggas coming in here, sitting in the back, hiding out. Fuck you doing? That ain't what this is. Get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Announcing all willingness to evolve. Let's announce it. Let's get loud about it. You know what I mean? Sagittarius ain't quiet. This is spreading fire, contagious fire, passion, ignorant, uncivilized. Okay, that's Sagittarius. Yeah, you can hear it in my voice. I have South Node Sagittarius. You can hear it. I have Sagittarius moon. You can hear it. That's why I talk like this. You know what I mean? I talk like I'm standing outside a bodega in New York. That's how I talk. I talk like I got spit flying out my mouth. That's how I talk. Like I got 5 o'clock shadow and a big ass cigar. Yeah, that's how I talk. I talk ashy, nigga. I talk ashy. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. Be proud of being a man. All y'all out there, be proud of being masculine. Be proud of being a man. You know what I mean? Sagittarius. Announcing our willingness to evolve. Let's do that. Let's do that. Now, in Holy Quran, there's a surah or chapter called Surah Al-Kahf. Surah Al-Kahf. And Surah Al-Kahf, what it means is the cave. And we read it and recite it every Friday. You know, as Muslims, we would read it and recite it every Friday. Surah Al-Kahf. What's included in Surah Al-Kahf, and I would like you to look into that, there's the story of Khidr wa Musa. Khidr wa Musa. Khidr is spelled Khidr. Al-Khidr, the green one. And Musa is interpreted as Moses, okay, in Arabic. Khidr wa Musa. And it's about the difference between secular knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Secular knowledge and spiritual knowledge. But Musa, who has learned in all of the land from institutions, colleges, the best education in all of the land. And he once said, asked the question, he said, is there anyone who is more learned than me? Imagine that. He asked Allah, okay? So obviously he's so well educated, he asked Allah, is there anyone who is more learned than me? Imagine that. You're so well educated from colleges. I got a PhD. Don't you hear this today? All day, every day you hear this today. People think that college is the epitome of education, and college is not even where education begins. That's training, not education. Don't get it twisted. So Allah told Musa, I know someone who is more knowledgeable than you, and I prepared a meeting. You will meet him where the rivers divide. You will meet him where the rivers divide. And as the story would tell, Musa was challenged to show humility because Khidr ended up showing him things, demonstrating things that he couldn't understand. But he had a hard time restraining himself from interrupting, disrupting, challenging, and asserting himself over the master. And this is the case when you deal with the master. Khidr was not teaching him by words. He was teaching him by his actions. And Khidr was not offering explanation of his actions, because that's not what a master is there to do. A master is not there to explain every damn thing at every moment, where you have to satisfy your insecurity of not understanding. If you shut the fuck up and show some humility, you will learn and understand. Humility is what prepares the student, not a piece of paper and a pen, not a number 2 pencil, not a big pen, not sitting up straight in the classroom. Humility is what prepares the student and nothing else. If you don't have humility, you are not going to learn. You're going to remember. You're going to memorize. Learning and memorizing, those are two different things, because plenty of people can regurgitate, recite, but to understand what you're reciting, to explain what you're regurgitating, I've went through this with all of my teachers, and I have never used notes in any of my messages. I don't need notes. It was imprinted in me through humiliation, rejection, years and years and years of feeling small as an ant before my teachers. I came through the 5% Nation when I was a teenager. Okay, again, write this down in your notes. 5% Nation, what that's all about. The nation of gods and earth. That was the basis and foundation of my early teenage years. 5% Nation. And 5% Nation in New York, there was this thing where if you were found out as giving incorrect information, talking ahead of the elders, getting out of pocket with what you say you know, you'll lose your front teeth. And I'm not exaggerating. People was punching front teeth out over that. Yeah. So the days where men were the teachers, the masters, there was correctness. There was real scholarship and scholarhood. Real mastery. But when females took it over during the Obama era and started the conscious movement, where all the girls started wearing yoga pants 8 days a week, pussy print, any city, any hour, all you see is pussy print in the public, crystals in yoga pants, nipples poking through shirts, and cameras turned on with intense light. They turned it all into lust. It was all about themselves. It wasn't about teaching. It wasn't about enlightenment. Black women took the conscious community over and made it about sex work. They made it all about sex. Look at me, look at me. Look at what I know. Look at what I think I know. It's all about sex. Sex and arrogance. I'm a vegan, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegan. The arrogance of being a vegan. I don't put this in my body. My pineal gland is open. Okay, but you're still a fornicator. You're still an adulteress. You still got babies all over the place by this nigga, that nigga, and that nigga. So it's something you don't understand. And the vegetables ain't helping. The vegetables ain't fixing it. You worried about the pH balance of your pussy, but your soul is sad. It's sad what women have become. They descended from the conscious movement, not evolve. They were better off in the church. They did better in the church. They did better in the mosque. But when they came out and rejected all Saturn, all discipline, all structure, all order, all obedience, all males, get out, feminism, nose diving into feminism and liberalism, mixing feminism and liberalism within the conscious movement that started during the time that Dr. Umar Johnson released Hidden Colors. I was there to see it. I was there. Black women took it over and it crashed and burned, and it hurt my soul because I know what I went through, and I know what all of those who I learned from went through to become real teachers. And black women took it over and turned it into nothing but sex work and attention seeking, validation, and everything came about who's the prettiest. Follow, like, pretty, sexy, pretty, handsome, cute. And that determines who gets likes, who get followers, and as an indirect result of that, who gets to distribute information to the people. And now corruption begins. And the people get dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. I watched it. I didn't just start this. It's been a lifetime of learning. I come from the days where we walked to the library, walked with burdens of books. We wrote our notes on pieces of paper until our hands hurt. Walking in circles in the room, reciting and reciting and reciting to remember so that when we speak, it's correct. The learned people shooing you away, expecting you to say absolutely nothing until they seen you coming year after year or week after week, month after month. Not so fast did they trust you. You had to earn the trust of teachers to even accept you in their circle. Earn it. It took years to finally have the chance to speak on what you studied and what you know, what you prepared to understand. You had to go and learn that Dewey Decimal System, check out all kind of reference books, do reference checks at the library, books strolled out all over the place doing comparisons, going to this person's house to seek knowledge, going to that person. Because it wasn't at the swipe of a phone. You had to work and labor to come to an understanding. But this generation knows nothing about that, and it's watered down bullshit is what it is. The conscious community is nothing but sex work and distraction. They're lustful people who are looking for eye candy to distract them while they eat their meal from their phone. That's all it is. Nobody wants to grow. They don't want real information that has a value to transform the self. They want distractions to say, oh, I don't have a problem. Let's talk about Neberu. Let's talk about the Anunnaki. Let's talk about this star system and that star system. Oh, we was kings. Black don't crack. I'm black, so I'm superior. I'm special. They not like us. But the proof is in the pudding. You are a sick people is what you are. That's the truth. But you don't want to acknowledge it. I could acknowledge it. I'm acknowledging it. That's where the healing begins. Understand?